section of the Center for Transparency and Accountability in Liberia, Cental. My name is Edward Blamo. I'm your host, and I'm here along with Mark W. Bondao, bringing you this edition of the program Integrity Watch. We will take a short break, and when we return, we will go into our program. I want to get team soon.
Oh, yeah, my enemy.
I thought they had team song. They don't play the team song. Did you play jingle?
Yeah. Cover break, cover break, cover break. My team song.
The team song. Yeah, yeah, the team song. Just join me to the program.
I would like to fund my account at any time, even here.
Right here, right now.
Here too!
Without moving an inch.
Here will be just perfect.
Henceforth, send money to your Orange Money account from your bank account and vice versa directly from your mobile phone. A simple and fast solution that is always available to ensure a permanent access to your Orange Money services. Anywhere, anytime, send money to your Orange Money account from your bank account from your mobile phone to cash out, to recharge, to transfer, to pay, to buy. To subscribe to this service, go to your bank branch office, partner to the Orange Money service. It's all about what matters to you. Orange.
Starting today. Why not have a little more fun? Why not use money this easily?
Welcome back to the program Integrity Watch. As we stated, this program is an advocacy tool that provides essential information about the state of the fight against corruption and national integrity building efforts in Liberia. It is an activity of Cental's National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, which was extended for an additional 3 years by the Swedish International Development Cooperation Agency, SIDA. And under the National Integrity Building and Anti-Corruption Program, Cental is implementing series of activities, one of which is our Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. This is a platform that is independent, that has lawyers trained, willing, and ready to receive complaints of corruption and help citizens who would like to seek redress to corruption and other issues. So if you are in a space, for example, you're working somewhere and you observe things happening, somebody is involved into what a bribery or extortion or sextortion or conflict of interest, whatever the form of corruption may be, you have a platform available that you can call, and that platform is Cental's Advocacy and Legal Advice Center. The number to call is 4432. It's free of charge. Once you have a phone that is charged and that is able to call, you can grab that phone, dial 4432. It's free of charge, both for both Lone Star and Orange subscribers. Or you could also send a text or WhatsApp or message to 0555 Again, it's 0555 Once you send a WhatsApp message to that number, Cental's Advocacy and Legal Advice Center will receive your complaint or complaints and act appropriately. You can also send an email, and the email address is centar. Again, it's elac@centar.org.lr. It's elac, and elac is spelled ALAC at centar.org.lr. Once you send an email through that address, Centar's elac will receive your complaint and act appropriately. A lot of people have utilized this platform. They have, you know, complained, reported corruption related cases, and people sought redress to other disputes, for example, land disputes, bad labor practices, and other things. You may not have the funds to hire a lawyer to get legal advice on a lot of critical issues, for example, land and labor and other related issues. The Center's Advocacy and Legal Advice Center is there to help you. We have lawyers there, they are trained and they are willing and ready to help you. So you can call, the number is free of charge, and seek legal redress to corruption and other matters. We also have our Integrity Club outreach program at 4 universities: the United Methodist University, the African Methodist Episcopal University, the University of Liberia, and the Stella Maris Polytechnic University. All of those universities have our Integrity Club, which is an army of young people that we have trained, we have empowered, and we have supported to not just go out in their classrooms or to talk to their peers about integrity and the fight against corruption, but to also go to their communities to be ambassadors of integrity and anti-corruption in their communities. That is what we're doing through our Integrity Club outreach program at those universities. And we are also extending that program to other schools, high schools. For example, we have a new club established at the Ford Maiden Christian Academy on the Oro, and there are plans to extend that service to other high schools in the future. That way, we will be encouraging and recruiting more young people into that army so that we can have young people who have integrity imbued within whatever they do. And that when they become the future leaders, when they become leaders in the future, they can carry with them those tenets. They can be better leaders. We are fighting corruption at the top level, working with government people and stakeholders and others. We are also building a new generation of young people or a new generation of Liberians that have integrity imbued in whatever they do. That's what we're doing through our Integrity Club outreach program. We also have, we're working with our National Integrity Forum This is a forum that is comprised of governments, anti-graft institutions, be it the LACC, the GAC, the Governance Commission, the National Elections Commission, the PPCC. All of those anti-graft institutions are part and parcel of our National Integrity Forum, which were reactivated in 2010. And what that forum is doing on this program is to identify key facilities, public facilities, facilities providing services to the public, especially public facilities. And we engage them and we publish information about fees charged by those institutions. So we collect data, for example, at the Ministry of uh, Transport. We collect data on what the cost is like to register a vehicle, to acquire a driver's license. When we receive those information, the National Integrity Forum populate them on a bulletin board. And those bulletin boards are erected at the entry of the Ministry of Transport. If you go there now, you want to get a driver's license, you need not ask too many questions. Just visit the bulletin board, see what is it that you're supposed to pay, look at the various categories of vehicles and see the amount attached, and move to wherever you're supposed to do your payment and make that payment. We are doing those things to ensure that the likelihood of extortion is reduced. We did similar thing at the Liberia Business Registry. We have a bulletin board there that has the fees for services. We did similar thing at the Liberia Immigration Service. We have similar bulletin board at the Ministry of Internal Affairs. We have another one at the Bureau of Vital Statistics, where they issue birth certificates. We have plans to extend to others, including the Ministry of Foreign Affairs and other institutions providing service or services to the public. In that way, we believe that citizens will have the power, they will have the information, and they will have the ability to demand for accountability and contribute towards the fight against corruption. We are also running our open expenditure outreach initiative. This time, we are placing more emphasis on research, and the research is specific around budget process and the county social development funds. In case you want to know what we've done in the past with the budget analysis, you can visit our dedicated portal that we have developed for budget analysis. It's available at www.liberiabudget.info. Again, it's www.liberiabudget.info. Once you visit that website, that's our budget analysis portal. You will find our reports, budget analysis report, and other reports on the county social development funds. We have our annual state of corruption report that we produce every year, and this year's report will be released by December. And that report sort of analyzes the various trends of corruption, the prevalence rates of corruption, where corruption is more prone, which sector is more prone to corruption, where it is high, where it is low, and all of the research and data you need to know about corruption is available on our State of Corruption report. And we've had 2023 edition is on our website. In case you want to access it, you can visit our website, and the handle is www.centar.org.lr. We are in the process of conducting research for the 2024 edition of the State of Corruption report. So if you're a student, for example, or you are conducting research and you're writing a paper, you want to know how corruption looks like in Liberia, you want to have, very trusted data about corruption in Liberia, you can access our report. The State of Corruption report has everything you need to know about corruption. where it is high, where it is low, which sector is more prone, where it is happening often, what does, what do ordinary people think about corruption, what their perception levels are about the prevalence rate of corruption in Liberia, and all of those information you know will be available on our, state of corruption report. We are also developing a corruption case tracker, and that tracker will have all of the information you need to know about corruption cases in Liberia. As you may be aware, the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, the new act creating the Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, or the new Liberia Anti-Corruption Commission, is, prevented from disclosing information around corruption investigation or allegations. Unlike before, where if someone is alleged of indulging into corruption, LCC will come and have a press conference and announce that this person is alleged and we are conducting investigation. The new LCC law forbids that. So what we are doing to give people or the public access to information around corruption, we're developing this tracker, and the tracker will have all of those allegations of corruption, the cases of corruption, the status of those cases, whether they've gone to court, whether they are still in the process of investigation, and everything you need to know about corruption will be available. What the newspapers are saying about corruption, who are being alleged of being engaged into corruption, all of those information will be available on our corruption case tracker. And watch out for it. We will populate that tracker. We will ensure that we use this platform and other platforms to give you the handle for the corruption case tracker and how you can access it. So that is that. We are doing other activities. We are continuing with our joint civil society and anti-corruption initiative, where we work with community-based civil society organizations, and we are continuing our partnership with them, and we are doing a lot more. We will stop right here and take a breather. When we return, we will introduce our guest.
Your family members abroad need to send you money? Worry no more. Henceforth, receive your international money transfers from Europe, USA, and South Africa made via Western Union, MoneyGram, and many more directly into your Orange Money account. At Orange Money, we are family.
Orange Money.
Yeah,
Introducing the Orange Money Card to Wallet service. How to transfer money from your bank card to an Orange Money wallet with the Card to Wallet service. Go to the Orange Botswana website at www.orange.co.bw and select the drop-down menu and click on Orange Online. This will open a new tab which will ask you to sign in. Click on Sign Up to register for the Card to Wallet service as a new user. Enter your name, surname, the Orange number and email address that will be linked to this service. Proceed to enter your occupation and create and confirm your password, which you will then be required to sign in with every time you make a card to wallet transfer. You will then receive an email confirmation. Enter the one-time PIN that you received on your phone. Click on the email confirmation link to finish off the registration. Once the registration is complete, log in, click on Card to Wallet, then enter the Orange Money number you are transferring to and the amount. Continue by entering the source of funds, purpose of funds, and proceed to payment. Click the Visa or MasterCard option and enter your card number, your full names as well as the card expiry date. Proceed to enter the CVV number and click Continue. Enter the one-time PIN that you received on your phone to complete the transaction. Click on Continue to complete the transaction. And just like that, the transaction is complete.
Yeah. Yeah. Welcome back to the program Integrity Watch. As we stated, we have our guest in studio, and is the lead of our civil society activity project at Cental. The project is funded by USAID and implemented by Development Alternative Incorporated, DER, and Cental is a subcontractor or subgrantee, whatever that is, subcontractor of that project. And Randall McCall heads or leads that project at Cental and is here to talk about some of the things they have been doing on that project as it relates to founding alternatives for funding education in Liberia. So Randa is going to be telling us more about what are the strategies, what are some of the findings from their visits on alternative or resource mobilization strategy to fund education in Liberia. Welcome, Brandon.
Thank you, Mr. Lamo. It's a pleasure being here, and I'm always available to share my thought on issues happening in the country, especially when it comes to the civil society activity project. And yes, we're here to provide more information from our work and our assessment of the education sector, the research that is currently ongoing, and some of the issues that we identified so far. So here we go.
Thank you very much. So you have just first give us a brief around this whole CSA project. What is Cental's role? Why is Cental's doing what you're doing as it is? So finding alternatives for funding education in Liberia.
Central is a subcontractor to TAR under the user from the CSA project,
Okay.
and we directly work with 9 civil society organizations that under the education thematic window, which Center is spearheading. And there are those civil society are placed into 3 different categories. We have some on what we call monitoring and research investigation into public school fees. We have Integrity Watch Liberia, Youth Movement for Collective Action. We have Institute for Policy Evaluation and Research. We also have the advocacy for PTA guidelines for school monitoring and oversight. And we have Youth Movement. We have DNL, the Development Education Network Liberia. And we also have ARID, the Institute for Research and Democratic Development. Then we have the advocacy for establishment of regional CSO legal clinic assistance centers, where we have the Institute for Democratic Action and Development, Survival Aid International, and Youth Coalition for Education in Liberia yourself. So the groups are placed on different, RFA, which we term it as the core project focus areas, looking at these specific issues. In 6 counties, that's in Monserrado, in Marigibi, Bon, Lofa, Nema, and Grand Bassa counties. And they have been doing tremendously well in those counties that they are working. There have been a lot of success stories in part coming from there, and we see improvement in the work. We also engage with um, stakeholders in those counties as subcontractor, as lead on this education thematic window. We've done conducted training in different areas. We've done capacity building for different civil society organizations. We've done outreaches. We've done radio programs and many others. Right.
Okay. So tell us what are the issues in education that you have identified.
The education sector, the issues are enormous.
Okay.
But I score them into two major categories. One is financing and financial constraint,
Mm.
and the other is quality related challenges. Um, Financing constraint in terms of budgetary allocation to education is a serious problem. It's a serious concern. Uh, Everywhere there are challenges. Right. You go to the schools in the counties, you find out that schools are not receiving supplies. Teachers are not on, many of the teachers are not on payroll. You have proliferation of volunteer teachers. School infrastructures are poorly, are largely poor, and you there are many other challenges within the sector. Right now, the funny aspect comes in where budgetary allocation we've not been able to reach in the international benchmark as required by the ancient 2015 declaration.
Mm.
Um, you also look at the Sustainable Development Goal 4, you look at the Abidjan Principle, you look at the Dakar Framework. All of these requirements we are lacking behind in terms of ensuring quality education, in terms of financing education,
Mm.
and reaching those international benchmark. So it's a serious problem. And as a result of these, you see that the infrastructure of the education system is largely poor,
Okay.
right? Um, Everywhere you go, teachers coming from the CEO, as we call them, the county education officers, to the DEO, to principals, to teachers, to students, they complain of issues within the system. Uh, Maybe you look at the issue of textbooks not available, the issue of um, uh, um, sorry for the
Yeah.
distraction.
So I mean, you were talking about. I mean, you get distracted by something. You just visited some counties and you were trying to solicit of views
Mhm.
on or inputs on alternative source of funding for education in Liberia. We all know funding is a very critical issue for education.
Uh-huh,
The national budget is so tight, and sometimes to get the funding needed to adequately fund education
uh-huh,
can be a challenge. And
uh-huh.
you are out there getting views on how we can be innovative, how we can find alternative to funding education. What are some of the findings?
Well, the findings we're just going to give some synopsis about it because it's an ongoing work
Mm.
that the consultant stay involved with. But I can tell you that um, the issue that facing the education sector that I've listed around limited supplies, teacher shortage, proliferation of volunteer teachers, infrastructure challenges, and all of that. To get them addressed, you need funding.
Okay.
And so far from our assessment, it seems that government have not been able to allocate enough funding to education, although there have been some incremental increase in recent time thanks to the government of Liberia, but it's still below the threshold or the targeted benchmark of 20% or 6% GDP. So this research we've been conducting around alternative resource mobilization, looking at ways through which we can optimize additional funding directly for education.
Mm.
And so we try to using best practices in other countries that have worked, and also looking at our own context of the rural fund. All
Okay.
right, how people go to buy gas
Do you think you can
and some
add additional
percentage.
levies to road fund or something to get
Yes,
more
that's what
allocation?
the findings,
Okay.
coming out to. So many of the things coming out okay are excess tax
Hmm.
um, that could be levied, and on some services, the minimum amount. Just as the road fund is, you buy gas, you contribute, a little over to road maintenance, road rehabilitation, and you see that as not being, significant because what you're doing, you're buying gas, but you over it, the frequency of your purchase,
Hmm.
and it will add up. So if you bring it up to maybe 20, 30 gallons in the month, if you put all the cents together,
Mm-hmm.
that amount is going to add up.
Okay.
If you calculate that annually, that's going to be a huge chunk of money that's going for road maintenance, for road rehabilitation, and on improvement. So we are looking at same direction. If you think we can contribute some money towards, some services that the research is offering, that will be able to be, that can be set aside for education purposely to cover a lot of these challenges that the sector is faced with. So take for instance, probably you say mobile data,
Okay.
or you say
You
mobile
mean
money, use
okay,
of
mobile
mobile
money.
money.
Okay.
Okay, so whether it could be a send or it could be a data, whatever amount that is going to be agreed upon or put in the policy prescription, that amount will be, set aside for education. And annually, that amount, if you look at the value and what government is contributing to education, will be able to sum up to reach that 20% benchmark and even beyond, to
Okay.
be able to address the challenges within the education sector.
So who were those that you engaged? Who were those that participated in the research?
We engaged all the educational stakeholders. We met with CEOs, the county education officers. We met with DEO, district education officers. We met with principals. We met with school administrators. We met with teachers. We met with civil society working in education. We then engaged with the Ministry of Education itself. We met with National Commission on Higher Education. We met with lawmakers, especially those on budget committee, those on education committee. Um, we also engaging with the private sector, all right, companies that involve, into some services that we think we can get their support in this process
Okay.
in terms of looking at a better options, for alternative resource mobilization. All right.
Okay. You're listening to Integrity Watch, and this is your hour-long radio program that is produced by Cental's communication section. And this program is aired on the station every Wednesday at about this time. Our guest today is Randall McCall. Randall is the project lead for the Civil Society Activity Project at Cental, and that project is supported by the United States Agency for International Development and implemented by the Development Alternative Incorporated (DAR). They have conducted research on alternative resource mobilization strategy for education in Liberia. And if you are there and you want to maybe participate in the research to give your input on what you think can be some brilliant or better ideas or some ideas that will help to generate funding to support education in Liberia outside of the national budget, you can call 077 2961. Again, the number is 077 Once you dial 077 you will be allowed to call or to place your suggestions on the floor, and Macau is here listening, and Liberia is listening to you. Let's see whether we can this call miss it, and so you can place your call again the 0 777 28 5961. And another concern a lot of people may be raising is a lot of times we go out, we conduct researches, and we get findings, and we just lay those research documents on the shelf, and it just get dusted up, and everything is no implementation. Nothing happens afterwards. What are you doing with the research that you've done? What will you do with it afterwards?
What the study is what we have done with the study. We're going to
Mm,
be calling a policy dialogue,
okay.
bringing all of the stakeholders that I mentioned earlier to a one-day policy dialogue. That will be bringing lawmakers, will be bringing ministry people from the Ministry of Education. We're going to be bringing teachers, principal, district education officers, county education officers. We're going to be bringing civil society working in education, the media, and we're going to have a one-day policy dialogue discussing the findings of the research.
Mm,
And this is the tenet in gender policy action,
mm,
or prescription of laws that will be able to address some of the challenges we made mention of in the education sector. Government has a tight physical space,
mm.
and that is really, um, having impact on the education sector. So we're looking at ways in which we can optimize more resources to education to address the challenges within the sector. Beyond that, we also looking at this is not just about raising money,
Mm.
because we want more money going to the sector, but we're also looking at issues about governance and management, of the sector. We're also looking at issue of transparency and within the sector. We're looking at priority spending because most of the money that's been going to education is around recurrent costs. Almost
Okay.
40 to 50% of budgetary allocation, going to recurring costs. And we think as a result of that, all of the other areas that need funding, for example, teachers training, because the shortage of teachers everywhere. So it means there's not enough teachers training going on. So most of the key ROTTIs will be more proactive. I think there should be more teachers training. Money should go towards those kind of areas. Money should go towards providing those stationaries and needed supplies for schools, improving school infrastructure, laboratory and laboratories, all of that, and so that our students can go to school and feel and learn in a very conducive learning environment. But as it is, the challenge is just it's just so widespread. They're so enormous that if you go and you hear stakeholders speaking to you about what they encounter on a daily basis, you feel their pain, you feel the suffering that they're going through.
Why is your exploring means to have additional funding for education? Are you also working with lawmakers, with government actors to ensure that they can, increase the budgetary allocation to education?
Well,
Because it's possible, it is possible. Once government considers education as a priority, they said there's a balance in Liberia, put your money where your mouth is. If government believe that education is a key part of its agenda or whatever plans, then I think more money should go to education.
I think government is taking in that direction,
Hmm.
but the physical space is tight
Okay.
from our analysis because looking at the trends of budgetary allocation over the period that's been averaging between 70 to 109, I know, basically around 11, 12, 13%, 14%. Now we're now at 14%.
Okay.
All right. And so that's about, we stay around 6%
Hmm.
difference to reach that 20% benchmark. All right. I was looking at the data, and in terms of GDP, we supposed to be between 2.4 to 6, but we stay at 2. Looking at regional comparison, Liberia is lacking behind, and Ivory Coast. Uh, Ivory Coast is around 3.5. Um, I think we with little bit above Sierra Leone. I know, so we around in 2021 we've been around 2.6, and we dropped in 2022 to 2.0. So it's fluctuating. To tell you that, because of tax physical space, we're not able to raise that money. That's why we're taking us out of the box to be able to complement government efforts, right? To see how we can look in other areas and look at some possibilities through which we can raise additional funding directed, for education. And we've seen the possibility. It worked in other places, it's working in other countries. And even with this rule fund, is if it can work with the rule fund, it's also possible that it can work with education. And we should see that as a priority, because education is key.
Mm.
All right, education is key. Education, if you look at human capital development, is very key, and the dividend is huge, cross-cutting across all other sectors.
Okay. 077785961 is the number to call and be live here on the program Integrity Watch. We have Randall McCall, who leads our civil society activity project at Cental, and that project is funded by USAID and it's been implemented by the Development Alternative Incorporated, DAR. They are doing a lot of work, and our focus this morning is on a research that was conducted to find alternatives for funding education in Liberia. We all know our challenges are enormous. We have daunting challenges in Liberia. We have challenges of roads, health, everything, including education. To have the resources needed to support education sufficiently in Liberia is extremely difficult. To raise the amount of resources, to raise the amount of funds, to make sure that we have uh, chairs in some of the remotest part of Liberia, in a school in Bokonjire in Sino County, in a school in Bapolu, to make sure we have conducive environment for students in all of those places, those hard to reach places. It's always difficult in Liberia. So that is why the CSA project, which is the Civil Society Activity Project, is doing this research so that we can identify alternatives so that the burden or the load on the government can be shifted a little bit so that the government can breathe a little bit and we can have other funding from other parts of other sectors to help support education in Liberia. We've done that with road maintenance. We had this road fund that generates millions of dollars to fund road maintenance activities across the country. I, I think we can do it with education. We can fund education. If it all goes well, we can do the same with healthcare. Well, it all goes well, we can do the same with other critical sectors. So that is what they are exploring. Another key or concern would be after the policy dialogue, after you presented those findings to those policymakers, what are you going to do? What are you going to do next? I mean, does it require legislation? Does it require, presidential will or something, something? What are you
Of
thinking
course,
about going forward?
it requires political
And
will.
how are you going to get that?
We that's why we building rapport. We in fact we got strong relationship with most of the policymakers, and we urging them to see the need to prioritize this. Um, that's why we call them to the policy dialogue, and the policy dialogue is actually going to provide a clearer picture of the situation, to help them understand what's happening in the sector. There's a lot going to be happening. We also have during the policy dialogue, we're going to show some of the practical, the real life live situation of the education sector through a video documentary that they're going to be see. I know some of them, many of them know the situation. I spoke to some lawmakers in the house, and he was able to outline some of the problems that we've seen. So I know that many of them understand the situation. It's just about mustering the courage to take some action to address the problem. And this is why we're doing this research. We're coming up with the analysis. We're coming up with the findings. We're coming up with recommendations that they will see reason to be able to take some policy action to address the situation in the education sector because it's serious.
Mhm.
The funding challenge is there, the quality related challenges also there, and it's shifting a lot of burdens to parents. Parents are absorbing most of the problems right now. You go to the schools, if they are not stationary, parents are being asked to provide stationery. If they are not chairs, look, like one of the schools I visited, can you imagine? Students will have to take the benches from the church and like Sunday after church
Mm.
and take them to the school building,
Wow.
and Friday after school and take them back to the church. So it's like the church is there helping them. You reach to some schools, there's not no drinking water. They
Okay.
have open pit. Latrines are not even conducive. Infrastructure totally bad off. In fact, in Buchanan, there's a school wherein students have to use Kindle to cross over to get to the school, and there are times no Kindle to get them.
Wow.
So the situation is so terrible across the country. You go to other schools, students are sitting on blocks. Some of the school you have one teacher that is teaching from first grade up to sixth grade. So are we really serious about education? This is the question I keep asking myself. And I'm asking this question, I'm asking every stakeholder within the sector, are we really serious for education? We need to do something to address the problems within the sector. We know that funding is a problem, but we also need to do more to be with the little that we have. What's happening with the county school board? Can we empower them? Let's decentralize the sector. Can we empower the county school board to take on some of the responsibility within the counties? To support the school system? Can we give some, devolve some responsibility from central offices to the local or to the subnational levels? What's wrong with doing that? The Education Reform Act talks about the county school board has been in existence, but they've not been supported to a larger extent. Most of them are now dormant. What's happening to our PTA? That's why we're working strengthening PTA across the country, and many of them are doing so well. They are now actively participating in school and running processes. What's happening to the county school board? Can we do something to empower them? Can we give some responsibility to them? Can we try to use the model of the MCSS school and approach and see how we can replicate that in the counties, giving them some funding to operate and allowing them to operate efficiently, and all cannot be centralized.
Mm.
We also have the local government act. What are we doing around that to make sure that it is implemented to the fullest? So the challenges, sometimes the solution right there, but we're not being, practical.
Okay. Okay, that's the voice of Randall McCoy, and he's the project lead for the Civil Society Activity Project at Cental, and the project is being implemented. I always like to stress that it's been implemented by Development Alternative Incorporated. They are the lead implementer. Centar is working along as a subcontractor. And let's try to see whether we can get this person. Good morning. Yes, let's hear you. Your name again? Yes, let's hear you quickly. Uh-huh. Could you move away from your radio? We're not getting you. We're getting some feedbacks. I think I mean, he was trying to compare the previous administration and this in terms of the quality education or quality delivery of education. And I think we are gradually out of time. In 1 minute, can you give us your parting comment, Randall?
Oh, wow. Well, we just want to encourage,
Go ahead.
yeah, we just want to call on all stakeholders within the sector to prioritize education. We want to be more practical, about the problems in the sector and how can we work together to address them. Um, we call it on the Ministry of Education. We know the new minister has been, very busy doing assessment of the system, trying to know the situation. Um, we hope that she can, link with civil society within the sector, be open to work with them. We also calling on, the government. We know they've done some increment into education budget, but we're
Mm.
encouraging them to do more. And we also calling on policymakers to look more, positively into the challenges in this sector,
Thank you.
and take recommendations that we will be offering, and
Thank you.
to see how we can address the challenges within the sector.
Thank you.
Because our whole the goal of this project is to see how we can work through a multi stakeholder approach, the government, civil society, and citizens, to be able to address the challenges within the sector so that we can improve, service delivery in education.
Thank you very much, Randall McCall. My name is Edward Blamo. As I've been here along with Mark W. Bondao, bidding you bye bye.
Let me